we're going to have a look at trig functions, and we're going to focus on the sine function for today. And this is part one of a two-part series where we're going to have a deeper look into how and what the sine function is. If you find this video helpful, please click the like button, because this will help me help you, because I will have plenty of these types of videos to help you get your marks up in mathematics. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe for the reason previously mentioned. Let's get into the video. We're looking at the sine function, and the most important thing of any function, I believe, is the equation. And the equation of the sine function is as follows: f of x is equal to a sine x plus q, where a gives you your amplitude, and a can be negative or positive. X is the period, and q is the vertical shift, or the y cut, as I would sometimes tell my learners. That's just to make it a bit easier to understand where y comes in. When we talk about the amplitude, and this is how our sine function is going to look, by the way, our amplitude will be our maximum and our minimum. And if a is positive, it will look like such. If a is negative, it will be the inverse of that. It will look like such. X is the period, and the period is when we have nothing there by x is normally 360 degrees. But we can have 2x. That just tells us that there are two cycles within the 360 degree period. So if we have a 2 there, let's just go on to the same graph here. If we have a 2 there, we will have one cycle in there. Okay, let's forget about the amplitude now. And another one in that 360 degree period. And then q, that will just tell us where our graph will start. If it is 0 or there's nothing there, then it will start at 0. Let me just get another sketch going here. If it is 0, we will start there. If q is 2, oopsie. Come on, where's your sketching ability going to? 0, we'll start there. If it's 2, we'll start there. If it's negative 2, it should look something like this, depending obviously on your amplitude, but we will get into that as we move along. So how to sketch our graph. We're first going to start with q, and then we're going to plot, or we're going to peg our amplitude, mark off our period, we're going to mark off our critical points, and then we're going to sketch. So let's have a look at this example. F of x equal to sine x, and we don't have any q there, so we know we're going to start at 0. So as we said, we're going to start with q. Q is 0 in this case. So I will just draw a simple line there on 0. Our amplitude is 1. So I'll go 1 above and 1 below. Now I mark off my period is 360. So there we have 360. Let's fill in the others here. It's 180. We have 90 degrees. And we have 17 degrees there. So now we're ready to plot our critical points. Critical points would be, we're going to start at 0. remember, where is sine positive? Sine is positive there and there. So it's between 0 and 180 degrees. So between that point and 180 degrees, it is positive. Between 180 degrees and 360 degrees, it's negative. So between 180 degrees and 360 degrees is negative, and our turning point is going to be at negative 1. Our turning point was at 1 because our amplitude is 1. And then we simply connect the dots, and there's our sketch. That's how easy it is. So this is for f of x equal to sine of x, where x is an element of 0 to 360 degrees. Let's sketch this one. F of x is equal to 2 sine of x, where x is an element of 0 to 360 degrees. So let's just write in there. So we're going to have 90, 180, 270, 360 degrees. So we know it's going to stop there. The first thing we do is we look at q. Q in this example is 0. So we just mark q there with a dotted line. Then we look at the amplitude, which is 2. So from q, or from the first dotted line, we go 2 up. And we go 2 down. So in between these, my maximum dotted line, my minimum dotted line, my graph is going to lie there. We have x there, so we know there's one cycle within a 360 degree period. And now we can mark off our critical points. We know that sine is positive between 0 and 180 degrees. And our maximum is going to be at 2 and is going to turn at 90 degrees. We know that sine is negative between 180 and 360 degrees. 360 degrees. And our minimum would be negative 2. And that's how easy it is. Let's have a look at another one. So I'm going to go quicker because I'm sure that you understand now. So here we have 2 sine of x plus 2. Where do we start? We start with q, which is 2. And our graph is going to, I can keep this color. Graph is going to start there. So we fill in our dotted line. Next step, amplitude. So we go 2 up, 2 down. So we go 2 up for maximum and 2 down for minimum. We mark off our period, so we know that we have one cycle in 360 degree period. So let's have 90, 180, 270, 360, and we'll have one cycle and we're going to stop there. So let's mark off our critical points. We know it's positive between 0 and 180 degrees, with our maximum going to be there. We know it's going to be negative between 180 and 360, with our minimum going to be there. And we connect the lines. Let's have one final example. In this example, we have negative sine of x minus 2, where x is an element of 0 to 360 degrees, but everything stays the same. So q is negative 2. So we start by our dotted line on negative 2. Our amplitude is going to be 1, so we're going to go 1 up. And we're going to go 1 down. So these dotted lines are the most important thing. Then we're going to mark off our period. It's 90, 180, 270, and 360 degrees. And then we'll have our critical points. which would be, but remember, now it's negative. So our graph will first go down before it goes upwards. And when it's negative, it's just the inverse of what we normally have. So normally we have sign positive in the first two quadrants, but now that we're going to have the inverse of that, we're going to start our graph with first going downwards. So we'll go, oh, I don't have my critical points here. So I've 180 degrees. So because it's negative, it will be the inverse. And then it will be negative here. And it will go positive over there. So we have 270. And there's our critical points. And then we connect our dotted lines. And that's how easy it is to sketch our sine graph. So as I said, this is part 1. In part 2, we'll go a little bit deeper into this. And hopefully you've learned something. And if you've learned something, please smash that like button. Peace, I'm out.